This is all about developing front ends fast. That's what we've worked on for 5.4. I guess this is the first talk in the split track. So this is the technical track. So I'll be curious who all is here. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Christopher Zimmermann. I'm a developer at Magnolia International. I go by Topher. You can call me that around the conference. I have a long history with the web. I've been working on it pretty much my whole professional career. Started out in Seattle, so of course then it was ASP and Visual Basic in the world of Microsoft. And worked at web agencies doing projects, freelancing, did some web startups, really been all over the map, built some simple CMSs along the way, as probably many of you have. And I've always been switching kind of back and forth between back end and front end. Obviously, they're both interesting parts of a project. But recently, I've really been honing in on the front end. I just think it's so exciting what's possible now that the platform is maturing, the web platform. So yeah, it's exciting times. Just to kind of keep in the loop on that topic, I started a meetup group here in Basel called Basel.js. We meet about every 2 months or so, and just different people present things. That's been really nice. I also wanted to say that it makes me very happy that I'm working at a company that has an open source product. But even more so, I'm so happy that there's a free version of the product. It really motivates me to do the work that I do. Also, I'm very pragmatic. I'm more interested in the results of a programming project, more than the craft. This gets me kind of into trouble sometimes at work. People there are often very focused on the quality of the implementation, which I really respect and appreciate. But that's just me. I'm just into the results. I'm into creating the thing. I'm into the end result. Yeah, so that's also one of the reasons I love front-end development, is that I find I can be so productive in the web platform world. Maybe you've experienced that as well. Yeah, so given my background, I think you'll understand why I'm so excited to present what I have to present today. But what about you? So we've divided up into 2 groups. This is the technical track. How many of you are actually developers? Could you raise your hand, please? Okay, everybody is a developer. Very cool. How about you're already a Magnolia developer? Okay, so there's a lot of people taking a look at it still, too. How many for 3 years? And 6 years? Wow, okay. Very cool. So I'll also be, as we all are, I'll be very curious to hear about what you think about what we're presenting in 5.4. So we'll have the rest of the conference for that. Yeah, so we don't need more hands, but ask yourselves this. Did it take a long time to learn the Magnolia templating? Have you ever forgotten to export a bootstrap file and then lost your work when you reinstalled? Have you ever had trouble working with resources? You didn't know what was going on, something wasn't working? Have you ever engaged in one-on-one combat with STK to try to get to fit your project? Or gotten lost in the maze of extends, of this component extends this component, extends this one. Or maybe been embarrassed to show your clients the Magnolia demo. So if so, then I think we have something for you here. All right. Thanks for the indulgence there. I just figured as long as we're here. So where's this all coming from? You heard about some of the problems that people have already had, and obviously we got an earful of that. STK, it's very complicated. There are 30-page templates, 70 component templates, 40-page dialogues, 60 component dialogues, 50 model classes, and 90 templates. So 370 files. Have fun learning that. We knew we wanted to fix them, but we couldn't do it ourselves. I mean, let's acknowledge something. The partners and the developers, you know Magnolia better than we do. Okay, that might not instill confidence. Of course, we know the technical details better. We know about the dependency injection. We know about the class hierarchies and everything. But you know what works and what doesn't work with Magnolia as a product. So that's why we came to you. And I really appreciate all the feedback that we've had. So we've had a lot of conversations on the wiki, on the forums, and the blogs. This is a mind map from a workshop that we did on SDK from 2010. So this has been a long process. We did a round of interviews, and this was sort of, you saw this before, we realized that front-end development was important. This is a big thing, and we just want to make getting started easy and fast. So the goal was to shift that curve so that a front-end developer can just do more and learn it faster. You saw this before. This was like a series of questionnaires that we sent out. The information was very useful. If you go through this list, that's actually the top 4 things are basically what we're delivering in 5.4. So your input matters. There's a history with the conference too. 2 years ago, we had the first unconference session on the STK. This is from last year, we had a session on the configuration, how that could be improved. Should it be YAML? Should it be XML? How are people dealing with installs? That kind of thing. So that was really cool to get input, to get ideas, and to learn really specifically about what was working and what wasn't. Yeah, so again, thank you for all of the input that you have provided. But at some point, we had to shut our ears and just buckle down and try to make something. I think this is a really important thing that came out of this process of sending out these blog posts with questionnaires and interview sessions and the unconferences. It really made us confident that we knew what we had to solve. Because if you're not confident that's a real problem, you're not going to dare to make big changes. So what have we done? So MTE, Magnolia Templating Essentials. This is just one piece. But it was in the description, so I have to include it. No, it's important. It's something we've been working on. But you'll find that in Templating Essentials itself, in the module, there's not much there. We really took to heart this idea of making things minimal. What we realized as we were evaluating SDK, it started with, it's getting outdated, it's using an old jQuery, there's some new front-end technologies, which should we incorporate? Let's improve the style of the demo project. But then we really looked at it and thought about it, like, okay, are we going to repeat the same mistake? Are we going to make an SDK 2015? No, let's get a bit deeper and realize that this trend isn't going to stop. Front-end technologies are continuing to change at an incredible rate, which is exciting, but how do you keep up with that? We want to make a future-proof module. We want to make something stable that you can rely on, depend on, and it's going to continue to be there for you no matter what front-end technologies are there. The other thing is we realized Magnolia did a lot of really cool things back in the day because there wasn't less and Sass, and there wasn't require.js to manage your JavaScript dependencies. There wasn't responsive web designs where you could have one web design across a mobile, a tablet, and a big screen. So Magnolia had innovations there, but those aren't as important anymore. Some of them are still very cool and useful. Some of them we removed because we don't want to fight. We don't want to challenge new people coming in. Oh, you do it this way? Well, we do it this way. Why don't you learn how we do it? No, you do it that way, and you can do that way with us. So we're changing the contract. You build the front end, and you do everything with the front end. You do all your cool stuff. We'll do the back end. And I think it's going to be a lot easier for us to work together. I think you're going to be happier working with the Magnolia as a platform. It also means that we're going to be more standards-based because we're using, we're not inventing our own thing. We're using the same thing that you're using on other projects. So your knowledge will transfer, your skills will transfer. We're in the movie theater, so here's another change in the contract. So maybe here, we're the robot and you're the astronaut. We've talked a lot about the problems with SDK, so what are we going to do with SDK? How do we untangle it all? Well, we blew it up. The point is, we will provide these minimal templates, but the templating features in Magnolia are so nice, you should just use those to make your own templates. We're going to provide the functions and methods, but we just want to make sure it's as flexible as possible, even down to the level of the renderer. I mean, this is the kind of conversations we were having. Do we even want to provide templates? Because then we have to choose a templating language, like FTL. But somebody might want to use Mustache or Handlebars. So we don't want to go too far down one path that's going to be like a regret later or not flexible enough. So we're going to provide templates, but probably not like an SDK kind of thing. So here's SDK again. That's what happened. Yes. When we say we blew it up, I basically mean not that it all went away, but that it got blasted throughout Magnolia into the places where it belonged. Philip mentioned this before. So just like areas came in before, now the little areas of green are where SDK has found its way into the core platform. So into categorization, that kind of thing. Exactly. So categorization, site and multi-site, RSS aggregator, commenting, imaging support, all the cool things in SDK went to the places where they basically belonged. They're part of the core product. So now you can use each of these things independently. You don't have to have some monolithic thing that you don't really want in there. You can build the project that you want. Maybe you saw this before, the metaphor of the tree. So the front end is, that's what's changing. That's the leaves every year. We provide the branches. That's how you can think of MTE. The trunk is the platform of Magnolia. The templating stuff is the branches, and you're providing the leaves. So now in the same way with Magnolia, with this approach that it's this open suite, you can integrate anything into your back end, integrate anything into your front end too. Use the front end technology that makes sense for your project. What do we provide then? We provide templating functions and models. Those are the Legos that Philip was showing you before. So those 370 components from SDK, they come down to 32 in MTE. What's in the box right now? Teasers, links, text image, HTML. We're polishing up the templating functions. We're going to have some nice stuff for navigation, for working with content. What else is there besides MTE that's new? Hello, Magnolia. Okay, you heard about that tutorial. This is really nice, and this proves this was great. We had the workshop yesterday, and it was really the first test of these new technologies. Can you learn it, the key things of Magnolia, in an hour? Yes, you can. What do you need to know? I mean, what do you really need to know? Pages, areas, components, okay? Templates, dialogues, resources. Once you know that key fundament, you have the building blocks to build any website. And then, of course, you can get more advanced as your project requires. This should also indicate that we have great new documentation that is very focused on what developers need, front-end developers need, and people getting started need. And we even have a fancy new reference card for templating, which we tested yesterday. Okay, so what else is new? We've talked about MTE and the documentation things. Configuration by file. Everything is together now. Okay, it's all in your IDE. It's all in the tools that are great for working with files. So you don't have to be jumping between different places. You can use all the keyboard shortcuts you know from your IDE. Everything is together. You can search across everything. It's so much easier to share things with people and to understand. Oh, that's how this thing is configured. I can read it in that YAML file. Besides this bootstrap, right? And it's always loaded. We don't have any of these JC bootstraps you need to export anymore. Everything is always loaded when you start the system, and if you edit the file, it gets loaded again too if you're in developer mode. So that's that's nice to work with. And then you heard about the harmonized resources. This is consistency. Templating scripts, template definitions, dialog definitions, web resources, everything works the same. So once you learn how it works for one thing, it works the same for everything. You know it. You already learned it for everything else. Yeah, and also with the resources, we have that loading cascade. This means if you've ever struggled with the bypass flag on one of your resources so that it would load the resource from your file system, so that's gone. That's a thing of the past. It just works how you would expect it to. Then the new demo project, you already saw that from Philip's talk. I just want to say it focuses on being modern and attractive, but also on showing the power of Magnolia content apps. We've had these things around for a while, but I'm not sure everybody knows what to do with them. So that's something the demo will show to you and probably to your clients and prospects as well. Okay, so that's like a laundry list of what we did. But what does that actually mean? What is it, when it comes together, what's it all about? It's about light development and agile deployment. What's in that? This is like, I think, for me, it's just the biggest new thing. Like, to me, this is the big announcement for, at least as far as what the product has delivered. It's light modules. They're kind of like lightsabers, a more civilized weapon from a more civilized time. No, they're simple, elegant, and effective. Don't underestimate the power of the files. Yeah. We provide what you need, and then we get out of your way. So you can make your cake, you can make your web confection, and you rely on us to provide the content managing, the UI, the serving, the back end. So you can just have your build your thing and count on us to deliver all the things that you didn't want to have to deal with. That's what we're going to take care of. Imagine a big picture of a yin-yang, the white and black. So now I can say Magnolia supports the front-end side, fast, flexible, light, and on the server, the Java world is providing you with the stability, the scalability, the availability, and all the integrations. This is like a trend that we're seeing a lot with thick clients. So, of course, all the clients, all the apps that you have on your phones and whatnot, like Apple is providing all these services for payment, for ads, for notification, et cetera. Same with Google on the Android platform. And we're seeing that with web apps, too. People are just developing web apps, especially in the startup community. They're very light. They're very front-end focused. And what they need are like a content server to run on and take care of the muscle. So we have things like Hoodie, Firebase, Meteor for web apps, and I think Magnolia can really play well here. We provide this whole user interface as well for managing content, so you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about the internationalization and all these other thorny topics. We will relieve your burden. Magnolia providing content services. And then agile deployment. This is part of light development. So, maybe you've experienced that too. It's not uncommon for big companies to have very strict release processes for deploying new WARs and jars. Maybe it only happens once a month. What if you want to be a bit more agile and be changing your presence a bit more often? So we have this amazing new concept for deployment: copying files to the server. Yeah. It sounds like kindergarten, but this is already what a very big client of ours does, who knows development very well. We just make their process that they already engineered much easier now with 5.4. So just imagine, you have everything, you have all those templates and whatnot, in your Git repository. You have one of these light modules on your server. You can just pull from Git and you're updated. Fast. Easy, fun. These are the three words we use as a goal for 5.4 for development. So here's Mr. Skeptical again. Okay, this all sounds like wonderful and everything, but is that really for me? Is that really for my project? How does this relate to me, especially for big projects or something like that? So just a few words on the significance of speed. Yeah, this is like this light development stuff, that's not for us. These light modules, they're not providing bootstraps. We're going to have a lot of Java classes, of course. We're doing a lot of integration because we do heavy-duty development. But how do you get the big project right? How do you create the right thing? We all know that iterating and being fast, reacting as you're building something, experimenting, lets you hone in on the key value propositions that your project, no matter how big, should be delivering. So what I would argue is that even if you do need these heavy-duty development processes, these light development can help you get there and get a better project in the end. The other thing is that big projects start small. Your big project might not end up being your project. Somebody else might get it if you fail in your bid, if you fail in your POCs. So think about using light development for your POCs so that you can show your prospective clients how fast you can make things. You can think of it like a blender. So put in what you need from light development, put in what you need from heavy-duty Maven development, make the smoothie that's right for you. You can think of it as like everybody always wants a best practice. Well, you can't really have a best practice for a product that scales from a one-day project for the baker down the street to a huge client. They're just different projects. You can't have the same one best practice fits all. So what I'm saying is we have two best practices. We have the light development, we have the heavy-duty development, and maybe an analogy is we already had the skiing analogy, and we're in Switzerland, so let's have more mountains, like hiking in the mountains. So you could have, for your heavy-duty project, that would be like taking the Ridgeline Trail, going up to the summits, the peaks. You're making this amazing big thing. It's challenging, but you have a best practice. You have a path that's going to get you there. Or maybe it's ropes and spikes for the walls. Or you can just take the trail up the valley and stay along the river, and it's flat and it's easy going, and you're probably going to get to a similar destination. So you've got these two best practices, and that whole slope between those two trails, that's where you can do your projects. Start down in the valley, go up to the mountain, or change around, find what works for you. But we will provide the best practices, and you find what works for your project. I just figured, this is the technical track. We're all developers, but just at least one slide on the business advantages. I argued before how I think you can probably win more projects. You can implement projects maybe either faster or better, so you can get there faster. If you have more time, you can do more of the things that you would have liked to have done on the project because you're faster. You can locate developers easier. So there's a lot of projects where somebody with a good front-end background is probably going to be adequate for your project. And any developer that comes on board, you can get them productive sooner because it's just a lot faster to learn how to do things in Magnolia. Okay, so this all sounds good on paper. Hopefully it looks good on slides. But how does it work in practice? This is it's a bit of like 5.3 bashing. So we all know Magnolia is cool. It's still gonna be cool after this, but we just want to show you what 5.4 is bringing. The other thing is it's a little video, and some other people at Magnolia helped out with. And it kind of uses time as the measuring criteria, but I invite you to consider it's not just about time, it's really about the complexity and how easy it is to understand. And this is these are people who are very trained in Magnolia. You can imagine it might take longer if it was like somebody just learning it for the first time. And the video is it's a little bit on the long side. I tried to cut it down as much as I could, but if you pay attention, I really think there's so many interesting things in there that you might not have thought about, and it might kind of bring things into perspective about what was challenging and about how things can be now. So let's check out the cage match.
Hey, this is Richard Ganch, and I'm going to show you how to create a simple templating project using Magnolia 5.3. So let's get started. So first thing I want to do is just check and see what Java version I'm using here. Java.
So let's go ahead and create the project from scratch using an archetype. Okay, option number 5, parent project in a web app. So let me go ahead and create a module for my templates as well. So I'll move inside the project now. Run the archetype again. So let me go ahead and build the project. Okay, that's all finished. Success. All right, let's get it ready for Eclipse. So now I'm going to import the project using an existing Maven project. Okay, let's go ahead and add a couple of dependencies for this project. First of all, the templating module that I just created. Okay, in this project also we're going to be using the resources module as well, so I'll go ahead and create a dependency for that too. Start up the project, but first I got to do a couple of things here. I got to configure the server. Okay, all set. Let's go ahead and start it up. Alright, so I'm ready to start the install.
Hello, this is Natasha from Magnolia, and I would like to show you how to set up a basic project with the light development introduced in Magnolia 5.4. So in order to prepare your system, you just need the bundle and the Java runtime installed on your system. So the bundle is here, it's just with an Apache Tomcat, and the web app with a Magnolia author. Okay, let me just quickly start the bundle. You can just create a module by adding it to our web app. And this is really as simple as going here and adding a new folder.
Okay, so first let's go ahead and add the template definition. Okay, so here's my module, Hello Magnolia. So I'm going to create a folder for my templates. Just fill in all these related properties for this template. Alright, I think we're all set there.
Okay, now I'm going to add a template definition. This template definition is a YAML file.
So next, let's go ahead and add the template script to my project.
I want to add a template script. The template script is already linked here, so we can just create it in the same folder.
I'll go ahead and I'll create the dialog definition. So I'll create a subfolder for dialogues. For this, I'm just going to go ahead and import a similar dialog from SDK. Just going to reconfigure a little bit. Okay, the dialog's complete. I'm going to export my work now and put that into the Bootstrap folder. So we'll do an export for the template, and I'll do an export for the dialog.
So we're just going to add a dialog, and you know how easy it is. We're just going to create a folder and a YAML definition for the dialog.
I want to add a resource to my project. So what I want to do is make sure that my styles.css gets installed in the resources workspace, so that way if I want to make some changes or hotfix it later, I'm able to. Okay, so now my version handler is all set. I have an extra install task to take care of installing.
I want to also add some resources. And again, I just add a folder and place the resources inside.
Okay, so now let's check my work by creating
So
a page.
let's test this.
Hey, it works.
And there's our page.
So now what we're going to do is make a change to the resources. So in Eclipse, what I'm going to do is I'm going to update the styles to use some other color besides blue. Let's go back into the pages and verify it's been changed. Oh wait, I also need to make sure that I had the bypass button. So let me do that as well. So once I click this bypass button here, this will bypass the resources in this workspace and then load it from Eclipse instead. Okay, now let's check and see if it worked. Ta-da.
Now let's edit a resource file. You do this the same way. You go here to your old style CSS and just change the color. Another little refresh, and there you go.
So now let's see the process of adding another CSS file, another resource, to the module. So I'll come back to Eclipse, I'll say New, File. But now I have to also reinstall it. So let's come back over to Magnolia, like I did before. Delete the module from the configuration. Alright, now let's check it. And there it is.
Let's add a new styles and call this black. Okay, and another test. There you go.
And done. And that's Magnolia 5.3.
Done. And that's how you can create a basic project using the light development introduced in Magnolia 5.4.
All right. So how do we get out of that? Switch to Chrome. So what's light development in 5.4 all about? How do we make it? So it's just edit the file. How did we make it fast, easy, and fun? We removed obstacles, we made things consistent, and we just provided less, only the necessary parts. I hope that you want to try it. So that's it.